Imagine this. You're living your best life on your secluded property, but then the neighborhood HOA president, a total Karen, decides your little bridge is an eyesore and tears it down without a word. Little does she know that bridge connects to the only road leading into their fancy gated community, and you own every inch of it. What happens next is pure petty revenge gold, as the entire neighborhood grinds to a halt, begging for mercy. Buckle up for this epic tale of property lines, power trips, and sweet justice. If you're hooked on these wild HOA nightmare stories that expose entitled neighbors getting their comeuppance, hit that like button right now, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the drama. Share your own HOA horror in the comments below. Let's build a community of survivors. Now let's dive into the story. In the quiet outskirts of a sprawling suburban town, where manicured lawns met untamed wilderness, lived a man named Alex. He had inherited a vast tract of land from his grandfather, a reclusive engineer who valued privacy above all else. The property spanned acres of dense forest, a sparkling creek, and crucially, the sole access road to a upscale neighborhood called Willow Creek Estates. This road, winding through Alex's land, crossed a sturdy wooden bridge over the creek before entering the gated community. For years, Alex had maintained the bridge and road at his own expense, allowing the residents free passage as a gesture of goodwill. The neighborhood's HOA, however, was a beast of its own, ruled by Karen Mitchell, a sharp-tongued retiree with a penchant for enforcing rules that bent to her whims. Karen had long eyed Alex's bridge with disdain, calling it rustic and outdated in HOA meetings, though it was on his private property. One crisp autumn morning, Alex woke to the sound of chainsaws and heavy machinery echoing through the trees. Peering from his cabin window, he saw a crew of workers dismantling his bridge piece by piece under Karen's supervision. She stood there, arms crossed, directing them with the authority of someone who believed the world revolved around her clipboard. By noon, the bridge was gone, reduced to splintered timber hauled away in trucks. Alex, stunned but composed, approached the site, where Karen greeted him with a smug smile, explaining that the structure violated aesthetic standards and posed a safety hazard. She handed him a cease and desist letter from the HOA, claiming eminent domain over what she mistakenly thought was public land. Alex, knowing better, retreated without argument, his mind already churning with the implications. As the day wore on, the first signs of trouble emerged. Residents of Willow Creek, returning from work or errands, found their usual route blocked by caution tape and a gaping chasm where the bridge once stood. Confusion turned to frustration as they detoured through muddy trails, but those soon proved impassable for luxury SUVs. Karen, fielding frantic calls, assured everyone it was a temporary measure to beautify the entrance. Meanwhile, Alex consulted his property deeds, confirming what he already knew. The road and bridge were entirely his, granted easement rights only at his discretion. That evening, as the sun dipped low, Alex erected temporary barriers at the road's entrance on his side, posting signs that read, "Private property, no trespassing." The neighborhood's isolation began to sink in. Deliveries stalled, school buses rerouted miles away, and emergency services noted the complication. Karen, undeterred, rallied the HOA board for an emergency meeting, plotting to sue Alex for obstruction. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a saga that would unravel her iron grip on the community. Over the next few days, the fallout intensified. Residents, accustomed to seamless access, now faced hours-long commutes via a distant highway exit. Groceries spoiled and cars stuck in traffic. Children missed school activities, and one elderly couple couldn't receive their home health aid on time. Whispers of discontent spread through neighborhood group chats, with fingers pointing at Karen's impulsive decision. Alex, from his vantage point, observed the chaos with a mix of amusement and resolve. He had no intention of rebuilding the bridge quickly. Instead, he began documenting everything, from the destruction to the growing complaints. Karen, sensing the tide turning, attempted to negotiate via email, offering to reimburse costs if he restored access immediately. But Alex ignored her, focusing on his own projects like reinforcing his property boundaries with new fencing. As tensions mounted, a town hall meeting was called, where residents voiced their grievances. Karen defended her actions, insisting the bridge was in blight on property values, but cracks in her facade appeared as neighbors demanded accountability. Alex, attending quietly, revealed snippets of his ownership papers, planting seeds of doubt. By week's end, the neighborhood felt like a pressure cooker, with petty squabbles erupting over shared resources now strained by the isolation. Karen's once loyal allies began distancing themselves, and Alex pondered his next move, knowing the real leverage lay in the road's exclusivity. The days stretched into a week, and Willow Creek's veneer of perfection crumbled further. Power outages from a storm went unrepaired longer than usual, as utility trucks couldn't navigate the detour efficiently. Social events canceled, home values dipped in whispers among realtors, and Karen's phone rang incessantly with demands for resolution. She hired a lawyer who quickly discovered the HOA's fatal error. The road wasn't communal. Panic set in as legal fees mounted, funded by increased dues that only fueled more resentment. Alex, meanwhile, enjoyed the solitude, tending his garden and fishing in the creek. He received anonymous notes from residents apologizing for Karen's overreach, some even offering alliances. One night, under cover of darkness, a group tried to makeshift a crossing with planks, but Alex's security cameras caught them, leading to polite but firm warnings. The incident made local news, painting Karen as the villain in a tale of entitlement versus property rights. As the chapter closed on this initial phase of disruption, the neighborhood teetered on the brink of revolt, with Karen's authority hanging by a thread, setting the stage for escalation. The unrest in Willow Creek estates boiled over into open rebellion as the second week without the bridge dawned. Karen Mitchell, once the unchallenged queen of the HOA, now faced daily barrages of emails and doorstep confrontations from furious residents. The isolation had transformed their idyllic community into a logistical nightmare. Garbage piled up as collection trucks refused the hazardous detour, leading to unsightly overflows and attracting wildlife. Children, bused to school via circuitous routes, arrived exhausted and late, prompting parental outrage at PTA meetings redirected online. Alex, from his serene cabin, monitored the situation through local forums and occasional drive-bys, his resolve strengthening with each tale of hardship. He had begun consultations with his own attorney, preparing for the inevitable lawsuit while exploring options to monetize his road, perhaps tolls or restricted access passes. Karen, desperate to regain control, organized a petition drive framing Alex as a greedy outsider hoarding essential infrastructure. But the effort backfired when signatures lagged, many residents sympathizing with Alex after learning of the bridge's private status. Tensions peaked during a stormy evening when a medical emergency struck. An elderly resident suffered a heart episode, and the ambulance, delayed by the detour, arrived just in time, but the close call ignited fury. Blame fell squarely on Karen, who deflected by accusing Alex of endangering lives. Undeterred, she rallied a small cadre of supporters to protest at Alex's property line, waving signs demanding fair access now. Alex, alerted by his cameras, simply watched from afar, documenting the trespass attempts for potential charges. As the days progressed, cracks in the community's unity deepened. Wealthier residents helicoptered in supplies, exacerbating class divides, while others carpooled in rugged vehicles, forging unlikely bonds amid the adversity. Karen's board meetings devolved into shouting matches, with resignations threatened and budgets scrutinized. Alex, seizing the moment, posted public notices outlining his ownership history, dating back to his grandfather's clever land acquisition that looped the road through private acres, a move to preserve family privacy. This revelation spread like wildfire on social media, turning the story viral in local groups. Reporters sniffed around, interviewing disgruntled neighbors who spilled tales of Karen's past tyrannies, finding holiday decorations, banning certain dog breeds, and meddling in landscaping choices. Karen, feeling the heat, attempted a personal visit to Alex's cabin, but he refused entry, communicating only through notes left at the barrier. Her pleas grew increasingly frantic, offering not just reimbursement but community perks like pool access. Alex politely declined, his plan unfolding to teach a lasting lesson. Midway through the chapter, a breakthrough, or breakdown, occurred when the HOA's lawyer advised settling out of court, admitting liability for the bridge's destruction. Karen resisted, her ego bruised, but mounting pressure from a special election petition forced her hand. Residents, empowered by the chaos, demanded transparency and reform. Alex, meanwhile, hired surveyors to reaffirm boundaries, their presence a subtle reminder of his control. Wildlife flourished in the undisturbed creek area, with deer and birds reclaiming spaces, contrasting the neighborhood's disarray. Social dynamics shifted. Barbecues turned into strategy sessions against Karen, and anonymous tips to authorities highlighted HOA violations. As legal wheels turned slowly, Alex contemplated temporary solutions like a ferry service across the creek, but dismissed them to prolong the discomfort. The neighborhood's economy suffered too, with home-based businesses losing clients unable to visit and property showings canceled. Karen's reputation tarnished irreparably. Whispers of impeachment circulated. In a twist, Alex discovered old correspondence from his grandfather, granting the easement conditionally, revocable upon misuse, which the bridge demolition certainly qualified as. Armed with this, he prepared to revoke access entirely, a move that would force rerouting through public lands at great expense. The chapter's tension culminated in a heated town council hearing, where residents testified to the ordeal, indirectly sealing Karen's fate. As the session adjourned amid unresolved debates, the stage was set for the final confrontation, with Alex holding all the cards and the community on the verge of transformation. With the third week unfolding, Willow Creek Estate stood at a crossroads, its residents weary from the prolonged siege. Karen Mitchell's grip on the HOA loosened as board members defected, citing her reckless leadership in the bridge fiasco. A recall vote loomed, fueled by a groundswell of support for change. Alex, sensing the endgame, finally extended an olive branch, not out of mercy but strategy. He proposed a meeting on neutral ground, a local park, where representatives could discuss terms. The gathering drew a crowd, with Karen reluctantly attending, her usual bluster subdued by the weight of consequences. Alex laid out his conditions: full reimbursement for the bridge's reconstruction plus damages for lost time and legal fees. More crucially, he demanded HOA reforms, including term limits for officers and resident veto power on major decisions. The assembly murmured in agreement, seeing this as salvation from tyranny. Karen, cornered, signed a preliminary agreement, her signature a tacit admission of defeat. Work on a new bridge began swiftly, funded by emergency HOA assessments that stung but were accepted as necessary penance. As planks and beams rose anew, stronger and more modern, the neighborhood breathed collective relief. Access restored, routines resumed, but with a newfound vigilance against overreach. Karen stepped down quietly, her influence shattered, moving to a condo downtown where HOAs were minimal. Alex, victorious, integrated subtle toll booths at the road's entrance, a nominal fee that reminded everyone of his ownership without crippling daily life. The community evolved, hosting inclusive events and fostering neighborly ties once strained by division. Wildlife cameras installed by Alex captured serene scenes, shared online to highlight the balance between development and nature. The story's ripple effects extended beyond Willow Creek. Nearby neighborhoods audited their own HOAs, inspired by the viral tale. Alex's property, once overlooked, became a symbol of quiet power, his cabin a hub for like-minded landowners sharing strategies. Reflections on the ordeal brought growth. Residents appreciated conveniences taken for granted, and Alex found unexpected camaraderie. In the end, the bridge stood not just as a crossing, but a monument to boundaries respected and lessons learned, closing the chapter on this epic drama with harmony restored, albeit forever altered. Thanks for sticking around for this insane HOA revenge story. If it had you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button, subscribe for more epic tales of entitled neighbors getting owned, and drop a comment with your wildest property drama. Turn on notifications so you catch the next one, and share this with a friend who's dealt with a Karen. See you in the next video.